All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, again, hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Andrew with Liquidware, and we're so excited to have you all here. Some quick housekeeping before we get started. This session is being recorded, and we'll send the recording and additional resources in our follow-up communications following the webinar. Please feel free to drop any questions into the Q&A or the chat box throughout the session, and we'll do our best to answer them as we move through everything. Today, we are joined by Jason E. Smith, our VP of Alliances and Product Marketing, and Jack Smith, our Senior Solutions Architect. With that, I will pass it on to Jason to get us started.
Thanks, Andrew. Jack and I are excited to be doing this live webinar today. The FlexApp Challenge, 3 apps in 30 minutes deployed even. So don't start your stopwatches yet. We like to level set with a few slides to make sure everyone knows who Liquidware is. The demo portion is the challenge part today, and Jack's up for it, just like the movie Airplane. We've let him know everyone's counting on him and more. I hope you enjoyed our social media leading up to this webinar. I know that we did. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Liquidware is the leader in digital workspace management with the industry's only suite that goes across virtual, cloud, and physical. Almost every day, Liquidware engineers speak to and talk to organizations and enterprises that have more than one way that they deploy Windows. Yes, you might still have some Citrix. Yes, you might still have some Omnissa Horizon. A lot of organizations are moving to AVD. A lot of them are moving to 365. Liquidware solutions work across all of those. So if you have our solutions in there, help manage the user experience with a profile, users log on and off, and they have that follow them. Their policy management too. So it makes migrations for the end user a thing of the past, because even mixed operating system profiles will work, Windows 10 to Windows 11, for example. If you're delivering your applications with our modern app delivery, FlexApp, which is the focus of today's webinar, those applications will also immediately come into that environment. You don't have to go chasing down applications that need to be installed. You don't have to worry about the base image that's in that new environment. If you're managing your environment with Liquidware and you're delivering your apps with FlexApp, they come in as well. To support those environments, we monitor those with our DEX monitoring solution called Stratosphere UX, literally user experience. We coined the phrase in this industry. And we can know what that user experience is across any type of desktop, good, fair, or poor. We give that to you in an easy-to-read report, green, yellow, or red. And then you can drill down to see what the root cause of a poor performing environment is on an individual basis or a group basis. We can also help you ready for an environment change, say from Citrix to AVD, for example. We can let you know what applications were actually used in that legacy environment, so you can make sure that they're ready to go in the new environment. And then command control is real-time remediation for any type of Windows environment. We also have agents that support Linux endpoints such as IGLOS and others, and Mac OS. So not only the Windows environment itself, but the end user computer that is connecting to that environment in the cloud, if it's a virtual environment. That's command control. You can do things like go back in time with a little DVR method. It's as easy as dragging back a slider like a YouTube video to see what was happening before the person went to lunch, if that was when the problem occurred. You can start or stop processes. You can run a quick run book to complete something like a script. To remedy something. And you can even take over that machine with the industry's fastest remote control solution that's embedded in that solution. So that's the industry's perfect digital workspace solution suite that works across all of your desktops, virtual, cloud, and physical, so you can easily transition your users to the best desktop within seconds. So let's talk about FlexApp a little more in depth. The need for modern app delivery is strong because that digital workplace that we just spoke about, all those different various desktops are more dynamic than ever. It's ever changing. A lot of users have more than one desktop, as many as 3 desktops, a laptop, a home PC, a virtual desktop, etc. And you don't need to manage those each individually. That's just tripling your workload for managing those. When you are simplified on our suite, you are simplified on managing one user, one set of user parameters across all those desktops. And the way that a desktop application gets delivered, like the FlexApp, it's delivered one time, no matter what they're using. Slow app deployment, packaging takes up to 40 hours, and that can delay productivity. Intune is great, but Intune is an eventual state product. That application that you roll out with Intune will eventually get to that desktop. Today's Thursday. It might get there Saturday for the user when they need it right now. You need modern app delivery that can deliver that in seconds. Now, Intune is not the enemy here. FlexApp applications can be delivered that way as well. But if you want instantaneous app delivery, modern app delivery through FlexApp is a great answer. Base image overload. If you're tired of managing desktops with many base images, and this is not just true in multi-session environments, but also in physical environments as well. And you're doing that to deliver applications on a per department basis. So you've got the perfect image for this department, that department, and the other. You no longer have to manage desktops this way, virtual or physical. You lay down the operating system, and then the FlexApp applications will come in immediately as soon as the user is logged in. Fragmented workspaces, again, we talked about those different types of desktops, and you get a unified app delivery. You can set up rules and parameters where certain apps don't get delivered to certain desktops, but by default, you can also have every app that that user needs in every single Windows session. And of course, the high cost of device loss and having to redo everything the old way. It takes a long time to get a user back up and running, and you've got productivity loss as well as the coupled loss of the device itself. And managing your users with FlexApp and our entire suite helps get that user back up and running very quickly. And legacy solutions that purported to do a lot of this are now end of life. AppV was one of the leading ways to do this, right, in a virtual environment, and it's now end of life for innovation. It's end of life for the server portion, which was the deployment method to deploy AppV. Although the AppV client's still around, it's in maintenance mode, but there's no new innovation happening in that. So why FlexApp from us? Applications attached, they don't install. They're not in the base image. It doesn't taint the base image. It doesn't tattoo the base image. They are literally attached to that session, and the Windows OS reacts and thinks as if it is installed natively. Therefore, plugins and things like that will work. A very high degree of compatibility. And it works across all those disparate devices and desktops. This is perfect for hybrid environments like we just spoke about, and it's ideal for organizations and enterprises that are transitioning off of Citrix and Omnissa in favor of AVD, Windows 365, or even going back to physical, because we support all of your desktops with this innovative technology. Microsoft MSIX, what they called MSIX App Attach, was good for certain use cases, but it's only compatible, MSIX itself, with maybe 30 to 40% of your apps. If you heard figures higher than that, that's having a whole lot of tools and a whole lot of talent to try to get MSIX apps to work. People don't have time for that, and they can be fragile, and they can break. FlexApp is far superior in this area. We are compatible with 90 to 100% of your organization's applications to deliver your applications this way. And why that range is 90 to 100% is that some of our customers have absolutely delivered all of their apps with FlexApp, and they may have voluntarily said, you know, this particular app or that particular app, we do want to deliver it through traditional Intune. We do want to deliver it through a different means, maybe in the base image. So there's reasons in there for that. Innovations lead the market. Fast packaging. You'll see that today. Fast and streamlined delivery across all your desktops. No need to repackage apps, and so on and so forth. We also have new technology, and I'll touch on it in just a minute, known as FlexApp isolation. So this is the problem that we are solving with FlexApp when you're managing with multiple images, one per department. It's different when you're delivering those on a application by application basis. They are actually containers, as you see down below. And then when the user logs in just in time, just the applications they need to do their job are instantly attached. They look and react as if they're native. We have a new sandbox mode with FlexApp that actually lets you operate these applications in an isolated mode. Now, I did talk about the OS looks and reacts as if they're native. In the case of FlexApp sandbox mode, this is a direct answer to those few remaining use cases where you needed full isolation for something like Microsoft AppV. And since that innovation is completely dead, we have introduced an optional mode to run applications in an application sandbox. There's no need to repackage them. It's a simple checkbox, and we will output that application when it's deployed in Windows sandbox. So what does that look like? The Windows sandbox, when you're running this optional mode, has the Flex apps that are isolated in it. Now, Windows sandbox mode is a feature built into Windows 11, and it also will work on related multi-user operating systems as well. These applications, by the nature of them running in that sandbox, Windows sandbox mode, they run in an isolated environment. It's strong isolation. It's a seamless user experience because we've done some things in there to make sure that the user profile can coexist across the native local box as well as the virtual sandbox mode by invoking technologies like our own profile technology of Profile Disk and Profile Portability. We can sync that profile up with the local profile and have the best of both worlds. It also has a high compatibility. It's a native Flex app running in Windows Sandbox mode. Here's the difference. When the user double clicks on the icon that represents that application, it launches an instance of Windows Sandbox. It doesn't look like a separate desktop. It looks like the Windows app itself. The user literally knows no difference. We do have a little flag that runs across the top to let the user know it's running in an isolated instance. So this is a new innovation from us. It takes care of those last AppV applications. Now we are going to jump right to the challenge now, and this is where you can get your stopwatches out. No pressure, Jack. But we're going to show 3 apps packaged up and delivered in 30 minutes. So this is the portion we were talking about, 3 apps in 30 minutes from this point forward after Jack gets going. Jack Smith, please share your screen.
Okay, I will do that. All right.
Looks good.
Excellent. All right. So I don't have a huge amount of time, so we got to just jump right into it. I'm going to do first off PDF Creator Free because it has PDF drivers and printers and all that sort of fun stuff in it. I'm going to actually bump this up to 20 just in case. It's a little large. I don't think it is, though, and hit Create. Now, with this install, I'm actually going to just use something simple like WinGet, just because I can, or we also have the option for like Chocolatey, or if you had SCCM or whatever, you could do that. But I'm just going to use WinGet here and have it download and install. Oh, I have to put my source in. There we go. So I'm going to have that downloaded, install the application. And again, I'm just in record mode. So whatever I do to the guest operating system while it's in the process of being recorded is what is going to happen to the operating system and be recorded. And a lot of this is going to be me just chattering about.
Yeah, no issue. Let me know if you want to talk. Want me to talk just a little bit. What we're looking at is the FlexApp packaging console. So he's literally grabbing the bits to install this application, and he's doing this with some special hooks back to WinGet to do that. So it's going to pull this in, and then you'll start seeing the traditional install of this. And this is happening on a non-persistent machine. You're using, isn't it? You're using
Yes.
What are you using here to as your packaging console?
I got Hyper-V right now, so I just roll back my images with Hyper-V. Yeah.
That's great. So you would have a dedicated machine as your packaging console, like Jack does here. It's a virtual machine, so it's easy to reset. And then that becomes your packaging console. When he hit this here, one of the next things it's going to do, if it hasn't done it already, It's going to assign a virtual disk that's good for this application, and then it's going to be installing it to that virtual disk as the container.
Yep. All of that has now just been done. The disk was attached, the app was installed. Now it's just going to do a differential scan against the application set, copy those differential changes into the disk, finalize the application, and I will have one app of my 3 done. And then I'm going to move on to harder ones. So save, and there it is. I have it right there at the bottom, done. So normally I would go in and roll back my image. We'll revert that one back. And I don't know why that's even on. And we're going to start that one back up if I need to use it again. So I'm going to bounce over to my second packaging system. And we're going to do one a little bit harder, right? A PDF writer is, I would say, relatively easy, just because really it's the printer drivers that can make things tricky, but we handle printer drivers very well. Even the weird, obscure ones that install their drivers in strange ways, we're able to handle those with minimal effort or no effort whatsoever. So this one is going to be the Autodesk Desktop Connector applications. Go ahead and start that up and put that into record mode.
Creating that virtual disk that's going to be the container for it.
Start. So I'm ready to start installing the software. That's ready to roll. Let's go ahead and install that application. And this one will take a little bit longer. It's going to chew up the majority of my 30 minutes. So while that's going, I can go back into my other system and do my third application. Then we can circle back to that previous one here. So you can see this from the very beginning.
So you're running more than one packaging console in this case?
That is correct. Yeah. I mean, I could do it all with one, but I find a lot of times people have multiples just so that they can have multiple people doing it.
You can have a team of people doing it, and if you want to offshore that or something like that, that's entirely possible as well.
Yep.
We also have packaging automation. So, and Jack was key in helping develop that, and it will go through your installers by itself. So that's a cool thing too. We're showing the manual process of packaging an application. If you've got dozens or hundreds of applications, like many of our enterprise clients, you might invoke that. So you're doing Epic Hyperdrive.
Yes. Yep. Doing Epic Hyperdrive.
And most people know, but Epic is the most pervasive healthcare application probably in the United States for patient healthcare records.
Funny enough, the installer isn't the most impressive thing in the world. Now, there are some caveats here. I'm obviously not going to be able to log into Epic. I don't have an Epic server. I don't work in a hospital. I can open up the client. You'll be able to see that part. Another thing is when you are packaging things like Epic, and there we go, it's already installed, and I can go up into the application, find my hyperdrive, and it's probably going to throw an error, which it usually does. Hyperdrive, slingshot config file, blah, blah, blah is missing. Okay. Well, I have those. Right? I've got my slingshot and my configuration file right there. And that's just a matter of me going out to the Epic directory, wherever that might be hiding. There it is. And just dropping it right there. That was recorded as part of this sequenced application. So now if I go and refire up Hyperspace, maybe I put it in the wrong spot. Let's try that again. Oh, where do you want it? Throw it in bin. That's in one of these places. Well, for the sake of moving on here, actually,
Doing great. We
Eh,
basically got three apps packaged, and you're just 7 minutes into it. So
Yeah, I'm trying to see where it wants me to put it. That's not our temp. I'm gonna let this sit for a second, and I'm gonna go back over to this one, and I waited too long. That's my fault. Autodesk has a wait time after you hit the preparing for installation, and if you don't hit the UAC fast enough, it just cancels out. So
yeah,
I'll have to come back to this one and let it run
Sean
and watch it.
suggested maybe it goes in the config folder.
That's probably a good idea. Yeah, they usually the folks that's a what do they call it? Epic hyperdrive harness, right? So it's kind of a little offline, but for those who use things like Kuiper and have to do the Kuiper registrations, um, this will be very familiar. Also, we have a KB article around how to set the certificate within the Kuiper system and within the actual application itself. That's up on our website and is part of the process to bring the Epic client into secure mode. So, all right, we'll let that one go. Come back over to here. You said, oh, in the config folder. That might make sense. I think that's where I had them before, though. Oh my God. Okay, that's
thanks.
probably, yeah, thanks. All right, so connect and boof, right? Fortunately, I can't go much further than here. And I know most people are going to be like, cool, that was easy. But the Kuiper stuff, and I already explained, yes, you can do application registrations for the applications. There is a Kuiper specific or secure mode specific KB article we have up on our website to handle this. And it's really just a matter of doing a cert fix, then adding that certificate into the Kuiper registration, and then having a post activation script, which I'll show you in just a second here, to run the cert registration at a per application playback level.
Yep.
And this
So,
has
so,
been verified in 2 or 3 hospitals now.
so when you saw Epic launch just now, we're still in the packaging console. It's not delivered to the desktop yet, but that's a quick way to test it, right? You can test it before you come back out of the packaging console.
All right. So that's going to sequence up and basically do its differential scan. Let's see where we are here. 94%, almost done. So once that has completed, I will come back over to the Epic and I will show you how to open up the application and do various different post-activation script edits and things like that, because those can come in handy for applications like Autodesk, Revit, AutoCAD, etc. There's some things that kind of have to be done after the application itself has ultimately been layered. For those who are Autodesk folks and know, updating that PIT file is kind of important when you package the applications in separate manners. And I'm going to do one little fix in here because there are things that this app does not like. Just going to, yeah, I'm not doing the update just yet. And I'm going to go ahead and just close this. You don't have to close these, by the way. I'm just doing that on my side. And in this case, I'm actually going to dump the program data directory if it'll give me a chance.
If that's if that's the time to turn off auto update and stuff for that application, is that when you would do that?
You could do that here at this moment, or, and I'm going to show you on the hyperdrive side. And actually at this point, I'm probably going to even show you on this side. So we're going to let that one package up and I'm going to go back over to the hyperdrive and save. Okay. So within the hyperdrive, I may want to do some edits to it directly. I can click on package editor. This will mount the application to the guest operating system, and I can see the whole entire file system of what was captured, all the registry values that were captured, all those parts and pieces, right? So if there's anything I need to go in, delete, add, remove, or change, I can do that here. For hyperdrive specifically, and I'll go ahead and cancel that real quick. For hyperdrive specifically, you need to add in a post-activation script to do that epic Kuiper registration against the device. So in this case, we have a little option here called ABC. You can say, all right, I want to do this post-activation, run whatever script it is, the script, and the script gets added into the package itself, so it's self-contained. And then it'll basically run. This will run in an elevated process in the user context, by the way, when it does run. So if it's one of those weird apps that has to run as user, but elevated admin, and it's perfectly fine. It will work in that method. So that's 2. I got my hyperdrive done, and I'm just waiting for my last one. And I knew this one was going to take a little bit of while because it's a much larger application to sequence. But my last one being AutoCAD. While we're sitting there looking at that progress bar just blazing through, are there any questions out in the field?
Yeah, we've got
Thank you.
one here from Sean, different Sean than the one that gave us the suggestion for the config folder. Thanks again for that. But Sean said, what are some practical reasons to utilize the sandbox mode in FlexApp? I cannot think of a reason I would need that, but I don't know what I don't know. So I'm curious how it can be used.
Usually that is going to be used when I need to have 2 versions of the same application in the guest operating system at the same time, or where I've seen other alternative uses is I need this application to be completely isolated from my network. Hard stop. Because you technically can't control what goes in and out of the sandbox, because again, being Windows Sandbox, you can cut the network altogether. So you can just have the application run, no network connection. It can't escape the sandbox, and it runs within that self-contained area.
That's
so
good. So in the case of we dealt with some design firms and some jet builders, and they maybe they need 2 versions of CAD running, and that's a good example because we're packaging CAD right here. And because they designed an airplane, with this version of CAD, so they need that version of CAD on the same machine. In that case, you would have one delivered as a FlexApp natively, the one that Jack just did, but then you would have maybe a different version that you checked off that you wanted delivered in sandbox mode, and you would have it, both of them on the same Windows 11 experience on the endpoint available.
All right. There was another question. If I have a single application used across 3 different time zones with different config ODBC, do I need to package them separately? Actually, no. You can do a single application and just have a script at post-activation that does the logic to change between the ODBCs. If you do that via command line. If you're not sure how to do that sort of dynamic change of the ODBC via command line or scripted, then the answer is yeah, you would have to have 3 separate ones because they would have 3 separate registry key values. Or the other option is you can use profile unity, right? So if there's an ODBC registry key you want to drop in, or again, any sort of command line or whatever, you can do that here as well, and use the filter engine to utilize or have the basis of this is where I'm coming from. This is what this is. But probably in my head, the easiest way to do the different configurations based on time zone ODBC would be the post activation scripts, because at that point I know it's attached. It's to the operating system. It's going here. The only I think caveat I can possibly think of with the time zones is if the users can log into the same systems around the globe, right? So if it's just one data center but 3 time zones, unless I have some way to pick up what the time zone is of the client that is coming into the virtual session, that's going to be tough. But if you do have that ability to pull that, then yes, you can do that. The other one would be on multi-session systems with time zones is if I have multiple users in different time zones on the same system with the same app, that can be difficult because the application is more native in the guest operating system, less so than its own individual process bubble. So, all right.
So quick stopwatch check. Jack, you've been demoing for 16 and a half minutes.
Awesome. Well, let's get those applications in. So that was Epic. If I spelled it right.
EP.
Yeah, I didn't spell it right again. Thank you. That's why I'm in IT. Spelling isn't my strong point. All right. Let's add in the Autodesk.
So
Man,
while he
it's hard
does
to-
that, and he'll do all three here, but we're in the Profile Unity /
Folder.
FlexApp Management Console. The Liquidware console runs on a server, could be in Azure, could be on-prem, and he is assigning apps here. In your list of apps, he has many apps in there, but he's going to find the 3 that he just did. He's going to put them in there. And then if you want, this is when you could assign a filter or you could apply it to everyone.
Right. In this case, I have multiple filters. For this particular demo, I'm going to just apply it to everybody. Deploy up my configuration. Done. All 3 are there. And then it's just a matter of logging onto my workstation. Profile Unity loads, does all of the policy components pieces, profile load components pieces, et cetera, and the applications attached to the guest operating system on the fly into here. So we should just see those in a moment, assuming they have, yeah, I knew this one was going to be a little weird. I'll work around that. By the way, that is a new bug introduced by Microsoft, and they so much as admitted that there's going to be issues with PDFs and PDF printers. So, but you can see my PDF creator is there. Yeah. So in this case, this might be one of those I need to run a fix or post activation re-registration of the printer with this particular application. The other application, Hyperdrive, see, it's just the same. And that's okay. And then lastly, my desktop connector, which is already running. So says it was running. There it is. So I've got my desktop connector from AutoCAD functioning and running. Normally that service turns itself on, so I'm not particularly sure why it was off.
Yeah, you're still all good. Not even into 20 minutes here.
Nope.
So the good thing about FlexApp compared to others is that now Jack could and can go back to the packaging console. He can edit a package, and that's different. Some competitors out there with those technologies, they don't even have the ability to edit a package. You'd have to start from scratch. But if you knew there was a registry key to tweak, or you wanted to change where a file went in a different folder, similar to that configuration file that we did earlier, you could do that, and then you could come back over there and deploy to your test environment one more time.
All right. Not sure what's going on with this one, but I will have to test it out. Let's see.
It's a great way to show the troubleshooting too, steps that you would go through if you didn't capture something in the process of packaging it.
Yeah. Yeah. It needs the Autodesk connector service to start. All right. So let's go back into the capture system. And there's my Autodesk. And I want to go see what the service is. It's assigned. Hold on. You know what? Let's do it the proper way instead of the other way. We are going to clone. Okay. And let's just start it up here. Let's see if that same service gets a little sideways.
While we're doing this, Greg had asked, when updating packages, is it best to clone and update or create a new package from scratch?
Depending on if the installation of the software requires an uninstallation of the previous version, if that happens to be the case for the previous version uninstalls, then my suggestion is always to make a new package, because what's the point? If you're going to have to uninstall and reinstall, just install clean.
Got some other questions here that we can ask while we're going through this.
Fire away.
One is, does it support Windows 365?
Yes.
And how do you link two applications together? For example, when an application has a dependency, say, on a specific version of Java.
Yeah. So with those Java ones, those are tricky. Mostly because a lot of folks like to try and install multiple versions of Java into the guest operating system, and that sometimes works, and a lot of times it doesn't work. The way the application linking works is either A, you put both of those items in the same capture, right? You can do it that way. B, you have Java on the guest operating system, and it's just going to know, it natively, the application can see it. C, I can package them separately and technically have a dependency where this version of Java loads with this application. But again, you start to run into that same problem of, okay, I have two versions of Java now. There's an issue. The point is that the applications from a launch or native perspective see the guest operating system as those applications are natively installed. So if you can do side by side with different versions of Java, etc., then you're good. You're fine. No problems there. But if you can only have one particular version of Java running with that one particular version of that application, that's where things can get a little messy, unfortunately. That's where, at that point, the sandbox will come in handy, because then you can say this version Java, this application, toss it in the same box. All right. Now, let's see if this application is going to be friendly now. It's fine. Auto disk mount. Okay, yeah, it's working in there. So what I did on this was I actually rolled back the guest operating system of this device, and then came back in to my packager console and started up the application to see if it would work. This, in essence, should be the equivalent of a non-persistent workstation, with maybe the exception of the machine name matches. So if there's any machine name match type items within the product or application itself, it could possibly be there. But all of the sign in to, I know it's going to go try it through the browser. So the application does in fact work. There's just something a little odd about that, but let's give that test one that I know works another try. So let's say I did my update and oopsie, I need to get rid of that one. And I'm going to swap out Autodesk test for that application, deploy out my new config. And then it's just a matter of coming over to, yep, I got you, to the workstation here and doing a log off, log in, and I get the new version or the previous version or the edited version of the application in the operating system. So here it's removing the app from the OS. I'm pretty sure I'm over my time.
No,
No,
you still got 3 minutes. No pressure. See how fast that one will reboot. But you already showed that the application is working, so I'm wondering if it's something in that one image of the OS build itself. if it
Maybe.
if it doesn't
Yeah.
execute this time. So we'll see. We still got a couple minutes.
Let's do this one instead.
So while you're bringing that up, someone brought up something. So if your workstation does not have internet access, is it safe to assume that FlexApps and or Profile Unity will not be delivered?
That is not correct. Well, it depends on what you mean.
I'll take that one, Jack, while
go
you're
ahead.
focusing on that environment. So if the person's logged on before, we can actually cache all the applications to the endpoint. There's an easy way to do that. Maybe one extra box to make sure you check off. But even with traditional FlexApp, we do have a FlexApp 1 format that you may have heard about, and that's the default action for it. But for even traditional FlexApps, if you check also make available offline, they will cache to the endpoint. So if that person has received their apps at one point in time, say for a laptop that does go offline, that maybe they're on a plane and they can't get the Wi-Fi or whatever, yes, those FlexApps will function. The next time that they do connect to the internet and they have a proper login, that's when it'll do a sync up, similar to what Jack just showed at log off, either removing apps or adding apps. So by default, they'll be there.
Here's another question. Have you seen AI agents being deployed this way for clients yet?
I did Claude Cowork. That seemed to work. And it's just an app, right? As far as things like Claude Code and stuff, I mean, I imagine I haven't tried it, but I imagine that's going to work just the same too, because as long as it installs itself into program files versus app data local, because there's kind of two versions.
Jack, you got a minute? Did that machine come up?
No. Of course it didn't.
Well, you saw all 3 applications work, so we're going to call this a success. But we still got a few minutes here a minute, half a minute before your technical deadline's up.
Well, I certainly hope I can log in and get it going on this one.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. So the offline thing, you're right about the cache. Another one is if it's no internet, or the other option is no intranet connections, right? You're not VPN connected, you're just on the internet type of thing, mobile worker, work group type, enter only type stuff. You can utilize object storage, blob storage, S3 or Azure blob storage for your target to pull down the FlexApps configurations, upload or download your settings and configurations into the operating system. So you are not limited to line of sight, and you are not limited to always online, right? Always online, you can cache on the internet. You're not line of sight to the servers. You're just going out to the object storage. Wow. Oh, okay. I was like, I've never seen this thing choke up like that before. Well, I'm over my time.
Not much.
Not much. Yeah.
If we were to
we subtract the time for questions.
Yeah, if we subtract the time for questions that we distracted you and you had your pause, we'd still have a minute left. We can change the rules.
Speaking of which, there's another question. Can you talk a little bit about how you prepared your packaging images, especially to kill anything that might automatically update during packaging or any other helpful tweaks?
Yeah. So when you install the packaging software for the first time, there actually is 2 things that happen. One, it installs a frameworks. So it'll install pretty much like all the .NET frameworks, all the C++ library frameworks. Funny enough, it does J#, and the WebView 2 frameworks into the operating system. That's step 1. 2, when you launch the packaging console after installation for the first time and log into it, it will say, hey, I need to optimize your desktop. And there's an optimizer built into the packaging console to go and turn off all those different things and parts to make that device squeaky clean. So it's all kind of built into the installation first time run stuff, which is helpful. Another item in that packaging console and another prompt that it will ask you is, do you want to enable rollback? If you are on a desktop operating system as your target or capture workstation, this utilizes system state rollback. So if you are an Azure only type shop with Windows 11 type workstations for capture, it's sometimes very difficult to do like a snapshot rollback. With a system state rollback, I don't have to worry about that. I just hit go and it rolls back the operating system, and then I come back and it's clean. So I don't have to worry about disk level rollback or snapshots when I'm in the cloud, because that can be rough at best.
Great. Here's another question. Have you got a converter to help with already packaged like AVD apps or other formats that are not FlexApp?
Yeah, let me show that. Which one is it now? Oh yeah, share. Which one am I sharing? Sharing this one. Okay. Yeah. So when you go into here, there's convert at v MSIX at volumes. Absolutely. We can convert from those formats into FlexApp 1 format, or FlexApp and FlexApp 1 formats.
And it's quick. It's you do that at the packaging console level, and it happens relatively quick.
Yep.
So Jack, let's just close the loop on that AutoCAD. What happened, and what would have been different had you had more time?
Honestly, it may work. I haven't really gotten back into it yet. So
we'll get a chance while we're doing Q&A. Just keep sharing your screen.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's
other
gonna
questions?
Work now. I don't, yeah. It actually is working.
That's funny.
Right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're at 34 minutes exactly. So
there you go. Yeah.
If you take it like Ray said, if you took out the Q&As when we distracted you, probably would have tightened it up even more.
I don't know why that service didn't start, but it should have. I cloned it. We did a check. It might have just been something that I was a little too quick with the save before, or I didn't launch the application completely before saving that application, which in turn would have turned the service on. So it might have been in like kind of a weird middle stuck state. But again, because I'm rushing through this as fast as possible, I may have just missed the timing, right? I may have not let it bake enough or simmer enough for the application to completely have started up and signified it was done.
Hey, I'm still going to call it successful because we distracted you for at least 4 minutes through that. So, so you looked at login. Login took a while, but that was the Windows machine itself. Our splash screen did not take long. Tell us what's happening during that splash screen where you saw our logo come up.
So during that splash screen, you're seeing all of this being processed. And again, it really depends on the filter, but all of it being processed. So portability was being processed and loading my profiles back into the guest operating system. I don't believe I have profile disk enabled on this one. It is going to load all of the different policies, the app launcher components, the registry injections, the folder redirections.
Yeah. So our portion of the login didn't take very long at all. And it did a powerful, look at all the things it did. Everything you see in red, it was probably doing something in those. That's where something was configured, where you see a feature that has something in red. So it did a lot of powerful things that you do otherwise through group policy preferences, or you do it through scripts, or you do. So your overall login time, even though the solution's called, Profile Unity and FlexApp, your overall login time is usually greatly reduced from the comparing it to any other enterprise login time that has a variety of things in it that are not centered up and made efficient through our process.
All right. Are there any other open questions? And if somebody is shy,
we definitely do have some questions here.
Oh, nice.
Greg asked how to handle when runtimes are installed as part of the application when you already have them in a base image.
Yeah. So if you have those runtimes in your capture workstation, most of the time when those applications are being captured, it will go to check to see if those are installed and not install them. So you can put the runtimes in the guest operating system and your base image. Then they're just assumed to already be there. Can we capture runtimes? That probably should be a follow-up question. The answer is yes, you can. The only reason I like to put them in the base image or put them in the capture box at the same time is not because of compatibility. I put it in there for efficiency, honestly, so that I don't have to worry about having 4 versions of, .NET 6 or whatever running, or, the 2012 through 2016 C++ library in there 6 or 7 times. I can just do it once. It's a shared library. They all use it. So again, it's not a compatibility thing. It's more of this runs more efficient because of the shared entity. Any
Great.
other?
Yeah, another one is any guidelines for packaging Adobe Creative Cloud Suite apps with FlexApp?
Yeah, cloud is interesting. I do actually have Adobe Creative Cloud. What I like to do, as you can see right here, it's a biggie. What I like to do with Creative Cloud is,
You're not sharing, so.
oh, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. It wasn't really much to see. It was just my inventory, but I do have Creative CC right here. Now, the thing with Creative Cloud is that when I go to install it, especially if I'm doing a managed deploy of Creative Cloud, which is ultimately what FlexApp is, I will install the updater engine first, then start recording. Then I start the recording. Then I start, I'm going to install Photoshop. I'm going to install Illustrator. I'm going to install whatever, in applications, animate, whatever I need to install as part of that. But the updater is completely separated out of the capture itself. So I get the applications, but I don't have that constant updater going, oh, you got an update, and running and causing me problems. I kind of take that out of band. So that's kind of how I like to do it. And I used to do that with Visual Studio, and Visual Studio is now getting angry about that. So I may have to do that one a little bit differently.
Well, I think we did not want to take the easy path out today. Of course, we could have done, we did a PDF, and that one's a medium one. We could have done Notepad++ that you see a lot of companies do. We could have done another simple browser like Firefox or something. But Jack picked some that were real world applications, and as you saw, the remedy for them, even if things didn't go as smoothly at first, you can also change the directory. You can edit a package, which shows the powerful functionality of what we did here. So I'm still going to call today a great success, and I think most of the viewers would too.
Justin, you had a question, which is, when I say Adobe Updater, am I referring to the Creative Cloud Desktop? Yeah, I'm referring to that. I completely omit the CCDA from my captures. Funny enough, you're able to kind of get away. Well, no, actually, I think it's the CCDA, but I pre-install the CCDA. But again, a lot of that stuff may have changed in my most recent builds. I haven't tackled CC in a while. I do know it can work, and it does work. So.
Perfect. So if you've got other questions, we'd love to hear them. You can reach Jack or I directly if you want. And you can send an email right there to info. You can send an email to me at jason.smith@Liquidware, and Jack's is almost as easy, even easier, fewer letters, jack.smith.
Yep.
And we'd be glad to answer those questions for you.
Please, by all means, throw me stumpers. I love a challenge.
We've got some housekeeping things, because there's some exciting things that we just launched this campaign. If you're in enterprise and you're on this call, and if you want to just talk to Jack and the team, or your own engineer in your region about what you've got going on, not just with FlexApp, but with anything else, we'd be glad to buy you a pair of great name brand shades like Ray-Bans, and there's a bunch of others on Glasses USA. Just give us 30 minutes of your time. That's all we're asking. Even if you don't have, the project is a few months off or whatever, and it's not imminent, we would love to chat with you, share, our expertise for your project, because I think you'll find our engineers are some of the smartest guys in the industry. You see Jack, even on the fly, handling a lot of things today on today's demo. But that's a $200 gift card that you'll get. You could actually use them to get some prescription eyeglasses, because they do that sort of thing. Just give us 30 minutes of your time. So scan that QR code right there with your phone. Fill out the form. We'll be in touch with you to set that up. Just a short 30-minute appointment. You'll get a gift of thanks from us for that. Andrew?
As we mentioned before, we'll be sending the recording and additional resources in our follow-up communications, so keep an eye out for that. And thank you to our presenters, Jason and Jack. Thank you to everyone else for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks. Take care.